Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of One Man's Opinion, where I review the latest professional theater in Connecticut and Broadway. On today's episode, I return to Legacy Theater for their production of Jason Robert Brown's musical The Last 5 Years, directed by artistic director and co-founder of Legacy Theater, Keely, Baisden, Knudsen, and stars Tess Adams as Kathy and Emmett Cassidy as Jamie. The Last 5 Years is probably best known for its unique show structure following a couple's 5-year relationship starting from opposite ends of the story. Jamie's story starts at the beginning of the relationship and travels on to their breakup, while Kathy starts at the breakup and you travel backwards in time to where their relationship begins from her perspective. Now, I have mixed feelings about The Last 5 Years. I think even though there's other stories that use nonlinear storytelling as part of the gimmick for the show, this one doesn't work as well as some of the others, mostly because I think it hinges too much on the gimmick. In order for the show to work, everything around it has to be perfect, and this production doesn't hit it. Most of the problem comes in the characters and their plot. If we were to start at the beginning of the relationship and tell it chronologically, Kathy, who is a struggling actress, and Jamie, who is an aspiring novelist, they fall in love and eventually break up. Unless you get the characters right, the story's just not interesting. Now, there are many stories that start off giving the audience the ending, like Stephen Sondheim's Merrily We Roll Along. That one starts at the end of the story and works its way forward. Citizen Kane, you are told at the beginning that Charles Kane dies. Moulin Rouge, Satine is dead. You learn this at the beginning of the show. So what makes it interesting is the journey, and what makes it interesting is keeping those characters interesting and wanting to follow them. And this is where the production of Legacy falters, and particularly with Jamie, he's a hard role, because Kathy starts the show off with the opening number addressing all the wrongs that he's committed to her, setting him up as this pretentious, philandering jerk. It's hard to empathize with him. Plus, the story from his point of view just reaffirms how selfish he can be, and it's hard to elevate the show because of that. And Cassidy does get Jamie's ingrained arrogance right, but his insecurity and charm is a bit lost along the way, and I think that has to do particularly with the staging of the second number of the show, Moving Too Fast. It's very contained. I would have liked to see that number opened up, because the number is contained in the downstage left side for most of it while he's packing up to move in with Kathy. I would have liked to have him have more reign of the stage and be able to be a little bit more frenetic. That would have been far more entertaining than having him boxed in. And even the song title indicates, Moving Too Fast, that his emotional state should be moving faster than he can handle. Cassidy's performance is just a touch too controlled. That energy would have lightened the tone of the song and brought out a bit more humor and making him more likable. Meanwhile, Kathy's character, she starts out pretty strong. She's got a nice opening number where she is trying to reaffirm her life to be able to move on, and it's good. And Adams does a good job with that opening number. But the thing is, as she goes backwards in time, again, it becomes hard to balance, because you see her become more naive as this aspiring actress coming from Ohio, and she's got to maintain that strength and confidence and desire to want to achieve her goals, even in the midst of questioning them. And it's a really hard line to toe, and I think a lot of it has to do with being able to keep her hopeful, and some of that hope disappears, and I think that's a problem with the show. Now, I don't want to totally slam the performers and the director, because they do a decent job throughout it. There are some good moments. The engagement moment is done well. Adams's performance of the audition sequence is good. It's charming. I would have liked to have seen the piano player actually be on stage or be visible to the house, so she could have come and interacted with him during the number, which would have brought a little bit more comedy to the number, which would have been great. But she does a good job. The vocals are a little rough. Adams falls flat whenever she pushes a little too much on her belt, and sometimes when she flips into her head voice. And Cassidy is not a tenor, and his falsetto is fairly weak when he flips up into that when he's singing to higher end for Jamie. Jamie Burnett's set design is good. It's solid. It's functional, efficient. I like the details, and also the lighting is a little rough at spots because you've got transitions from one spot on stage to the next, and the actors sometimes end up in darkness as the lighting cues change. The lighting cues probably should be a little bit smoother as the actors go from point A to point B. So yeah, Legacy Theater's production of the last 5 years is serviceable. If you love the show, you may enjoy it. If you're new to the show, it's not a bad icebreaker to familiarize with it, but at the same time, you may end up wondering what all the hype's about. So there's a bit of reservation about going and seeing the last 5 years. That's it. That's one man's opinion on Legacy Theater's production of the last 5 years. Be sure to leave yours in the comments below, and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. The next show I have scheduled to review is the Broadway production of Antoinette Chinyonye Nwadu's Passover. So stay tuned for that, as it will be my first Broadway show since West Side Story a year and a half ago, before the pandemic. So thank you for listening again, and I will see you at the theater.